is kind of the pulse beat of the Leo business for those of you who are new, and I see that we kind of have record number of attendance here, so that has to be a good thing. So welcome. What we do is every week for the last 6 years, every Monday night now, or wherever you are in the world, we run this webinar to give you information and for updates and kind of to fill you in on what's going on in the business. It's kind of not a motivational call in the sense that we're trying to recruit anyone. This is very much for people who are in the business, about the business. And so very, very pleased to be able to do this, because it kind of gives us just a weekly TikTok of what's going on in Leo. Now, if someone can hand me over the mouse control, that would be a wonderful thing. Our agenda today is slightly different from normal. I'm very, very pleased about it, because we have this normal stuff with incentives, and we're talking about Leo Coin 3, me, him, Agudia, who's on the call with you about that, and some of the events going on. But we're talking as our first point about transforming lives. And this is chosen very, very deliberately, because this is where we, as a 6-year-old company now, are starting to get some traction, because we are doing more and more things taking us back to the core of what Leo is and always was for. One of the things that I was very passionate about when we started Leo, that is that this is about training, it's about transforming people, it's about changing the world one brain at a time. It's about a brain once expanded never goes back to its original dimension. I've kind of seen how direct selling has changed people's lives, not from the money they've earned, although that sometimes happens, but more from the skills that people acquire, more from the things that they learned. And the idea in 2012 and in 2018 is very much the same, that e-learning, online learning, education, together with live seminars, is very much what we're passionate about. We want to do something for the planet, and we want to do something on a multicultural basis. We want to connect cultures and people and regions, and we kind of want to be, if you forgive me for exaggerating, but we kind of want to be in a world gone crazy where people are putting barriers and walls between people. We want to be a sane company, a benevolent company, a company that builds bridges between people, and so that's a little bit what the theme is here on this webinar, because we have a very, very cool update from Mihir Magudia, who's just come back from Nepal. And you know that we've been talking about this for the last couple of months, really, that we have this project for Leo Charity, which was that we had funds that had been raised, we topped up the funds, and we kind of created this almost ad hoc little thing where an opportunity came our way to build a school in Nepal for a community for their children's education. And we raised 100% of the money for building this school, and Mihir has just returned from that. So Mihir, are you there?
I am.
So not only did you go to Nepal and brave the wilds of travel and what have you, you also met the Nepali Minister of Labour and Employment, Mr. Gurkhana Bista.
Yes, I can see on the call we have a few of our Nepali members on. I think I met a few of you guys on Friday when we had a little meeting in Kathmandu. Oh, and there's Reggie Fry, who lives in Germany, but he's the upline of that team there. Yeah, so I met a man named Gurkhana Bista, who is known in Nepal as one of the best, or if not the best, cabinet minister they have there. He was described to me in various complimentary ways. A man who abhors corruption, he's cherished and loved, he's sort of the guy who gets things done in Nepal. So it was great to meet him.
And clearly has better shoe sense than you do.
Well, I wasn't planning on meeting him. It came straight. I was straight from a flight into that. So that was what I wore on a plane, and then straight into a meeting with the Minister for Employment and Labour. So I was fairly pleased that I was wearing a shirt.
Very good, very good. And how interested was he in what we're doing?
He was very interested. He loves the idea of a foreign company doing business in Nepal. He loved the fact that we had a budding Nepali business and members doing great things there, trying to develop a business. He loved the conversation we had about us building a school from scratch in such a remote region. That was a real sort of moment of excitement for him as well.
Yeah.
And so he was very, very keen to help. There's lots of things that we can do in that market to help our Nepali members, and I think he'll be a useful ally for us in making that happen, because it's not a country that has sort of long established traditions of working with foreign companies, and so they're still sort of finding their way. So having help from such a senior and beloved minister is very, very good for the market there, and very, very good for Leo in Nepal too.
How cool! Good for you. Well done, you. And so when we're talking about this school, we're looking at the picture now on the left. Because my original vision for this, so we're investing this money. We'll probably get a little building, and we'll have a little roof on it, and we'll have one school room for the kids, sort of thing. But it's much bigger than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 4 or 5 classrooms. It starts at nursery and goes up to what they call grade 6, which is about 8 or 9 years old or something. And it's that entire building there. There's a little library, there's lots of classrooms, there's the office for the teachers, there's a little community centre where the local villagers meet to have discussions, and where they said they wanted a school built there. There's some little toilets there on the left with running water and going into that. So it's an entire complex, really. It's the safest building in the area. So Nepal's obviously a country that suffers from earthquakes. So when there is natural disasters, this is a safe refuge for the people who live in the nearby villages as well. So it's a great little landmark of the local area.
And we then funded 100% of the entire thing, right?
Yep, 100% of that school was paid for and funded by Leo via the Leo charity, and obviously therefore by Leo members.
Yeah, no, and again, for all of the people on the call, from me as the CEO of Leo, and on behalf of our Nepalese people that will benefit from this, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you, because a huge chunk of the money came from members, and many of them will be on this call, and the company topped up and also made a sizable contribution, but that's fine. But it was kind of the generosity of our global community of Leo members that made this happen. And what an event you looked like you've had there, me here. Because I looked at the pictures, and you and I spoke about this via WhatsApp or what have you, and it just looks like an epic day.
Yes, it was. I think we've gone on one slide, but there's currently about 140 children in this school, and it's expanding. It's expanding over the next few months. So there'll be 500 children educated there, I think, in a few months' time, and that's amazing for lots and lots of reasons. Because the critical point about the school in this area, in this sort of remote Himalayan village, is that every single child there, all 140 of them, and all 500 when it expands, they're the first people, the first children in their entire families ever to be educated, ever to go to school, ever to have a teacher. And that's just magical. Because if you think about it, their parents never went to school, their older siblings never went to school, their uncles, their aunts, their grandparents, none of these people had ever been to a school before. And that is just transformational for an entire community to have educated an entire new generation of children in a formal setting with teachers and textbooks and English lessons and maths and science and everything else they'll learn there. You can really change a community with that. It's a generational shift, which is just amazing to be part of.
Because this school is kind of, from our perspective, obviously in the center of their world, but from our perspective, is out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. Can you sort of explain how you got there and stuff?
Yeah, it really is. I'm still waking up at night thinking about the journey. But it was a long old flight from London to Kathmandu. But that was, fairly comfortable and fairly normal, just a long haul flight. And then internally, we had to fly across alongside the Himalayas to land in a place called Lumbini, which, interesting enough, happens to be the birthplace of Buddha. So that was an amazing thing to be at. But then from Lumbini, which is the nearest airport to this village, it was 10 hours in a 4x4 over dusty dirt tracks, basically. I think I might have dropped out.
Up kind of the foothills of the Himalayas.
Yeah, right up into the foothills of the Himalayas, over roads that can well, road is a generous word for the things we were driving on. Sort of large rocks near each other was a much more accurate description of these roads.
And how
that we
many
were on.
people in this 4x4 Land Rover?
Well, it was designed, I think, for about 4 people, and there was 6 of us in there with luggage and things. It was a bit cramped, and every time we hit a bump, which was every couple of seconds or so, your knees would smash up against the seat in front, and your head would hit either the ceiling of the car or the window. But this is kind of the only car they've got that can make it through such roads, sort of edge of the cliff stuff, really narrow. And then, of course, every so often you'll see a giant bus coming the other way, which is just amazing to see how they can really navigate on these roads. But yeah, so it was a bit of a trip. 10 hours drive over dusty, rocky roads to the nearest airport, and then to be greeted by these villages, these sort of remote villages in the middle of nowhere.
It looks like the school is on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, the school's on an amazing location. So outside those windows there that look into the valley, on the other side of that is a few more hills, and then behind them is Dhaulagiri mountain, which is in the Himalayas and is the 7th highest mountain in the world. So when they're doing their lessons, when they're having their classes, when they're playing at break time, they look out onto some of the highest peaks in the world, so these snow-capped mountains. It's an incredible sight to behold when you're there. Of course, for them it's nothing because they see it every day. But for me, it was a real moment. Imagine having school sort of shadow of the Himalayas.
I don't want to be nerdy or anything about this, but what sort of height is it on? Did you get that number?
So yeah, this village is 1,700 and a bit meters above sea level, and you really notice it when you're there. So walking up the hills nearby and round the school and stuff, it's an out of breath experience because obviously you're much shorter of breath at that sort of altitude. So it's really high.
Yeah. And so it's in the middle of 2 villages or 2 communities, something like that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of villages that it sort of sits between, and there's about 300 or 400 families that live in these couple of villages, but they're really spread out there. There's not a lot of flat land available to build sort of clusters of houses, so everyone kind of lives on their own little precipice and just on the edge of a cliff somewhere. So when they were summoning the community together for a community meeting, they have to use drums on the side of hills. So one guy will go to the side of the hill and start beating a drum to gather people from around the valley and up the other side of the other hill on the other side of the valley. So it's really remote. Obviously, no electricity, no power, obviously no TVs, no internet, all of that stuff. No phones. They communicate. Lots of them have a sort of an old mobile phone or something, and they've got running water.
No, they get occasional signal.
Very occasional signal. Very occasional signal. I think there's some specialist Nepali mountain mobile providers or something. But yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, no modern amenities that you'd expect.
Yeah. And what were the people like? I mean, they were sort of shy, coming out, staring at the foreigner, or
oh no, they were utterly charming. So there was a garlanding ceremony where 140 school children each put a garland on me over my head, which, let me tell you, can get quite heavy quite quickly. And walking around with 140 of these things around my neck was fun, but not the best way to balance. No, they were charming. The children were as young as 4, and they went all the way up to 14 at the school, because although technically the classes are designed up till, I think, 7 or 8 years old, obviously the 14-year-olds in the village have never been in school before. And so this is their first chance at education, so they go straight into sort of the 6 or 8-year-old class and still can learn something because... Well,
and did I understand that they already have a teacher?
Yeah, they had multiple teachers, which was also funded as part of the program as well. They had a lovely headmaster and about 4 or 5 teachers. I think 2 English teachers and a local education director. So it's a staffed up operation. It's really working very quickly. And a year ago there was nothing there, absolutely nothing on this site, and now there's a school. Yeah.
Very well done. I mean, so you went there with Serge from the media team, right?
Serge from the media team and Camilla from our Oxfordshire office, who's sort of the real driving force behind actually making this happen, turning plans and ideas into reality. So Camilla's done incredibly well with this project, and she's obviously keen to do more. And I think we'll have to
Camilla is where my mouse is, and she honestly, this thing would not have happened without Camilla, because she's been the driver from the Leo charity side. She found the charity that we're working together with. She looked at a different project that we kind of chose this one, and without Camilla, this would not have happened. So kudos and recognition to her. Now, what is interesting for me about this is you and I sort of spoke. We were in your one-star hotel, wherever you were, which was very, very amusing, but that's for another time. But you were really inspired by this, weren't you?
Well, it's this generational shift that's just created out of nothing. A year ago, none of these children, their parents, their grandparents, they'd never had a teacher. They'd never had a school holiday. They'd never skived off school. They'd never tried to call in sick. They'd never had a textbook. They'd never done the million things that almost every single person on this call will have done so many times, too many times to remember. They've never, had break time, looked forward to lunchtime. All the stuff that you just grow up with had never happened in generations in these villages. And we just changed that in a few months. And it just changed their opportunities, changed their outlook. They know where the UK is now. They wouldn't have known that 12 months ago. They know that they've looked at globes and atlases, and they can all say their name in English. They can all count numbers in English. It's just an amazing shift that's happened in just a few short months. And it's the power of education. And that must have massive impact, not on just their lives, but the lives of their communities, the lives of their parents. I mean, suddenly they've got children who can read and write, where they never expected that before. That's great.
No, because it's very, very cool, because there's a couple of kind of signals from the universe, because I mean, as I sort of alluded to at the beginning of this call, our core business is education and training and helping people transform their potential in terms of what they know. And the point that I was kind of sort of making and talking to me here about was, through the power of direct selling, we have this thing at the core of our business called duplication. So if we've now done one school in Nepal, we can do 10 schools in Nepal. If we've done one school in one country, we can do schools in 10 countries. And one of the things on this changing lives as we go forward in today's GAM, in today's webinar, is that we'll see an awful lot of ground covered by Leo and Leo members taking our philosophy and our concept out into the world. And so just watch this space between now and the end of this year. As we begin and go into 2019, I've got some very big ideas that I want to talk to you about, how we can create a direct selling model in a way that's never been done before, where we can mix raising funding for worthy projects, and you can offer your members an opportunity to be a fundraiser. And for me, this is a very, very big idea that is kind of just unfolded or unloaded into my brain this year, really. So there's kind of big stuff going on in the wings within Leo, and I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Now, you are still on Hear Me Here, because you also went up to, was it Newcastle in the UK, and presented something else in the world of children's education.
Now, Newcastle, for the UK people on the call, is obviously not nearly as remote as Hile, the village in Nepal that I was in. But for someone who was born and raised in the southeast of England, let me tell you, it feels it. It's a long old train journey up there. But fine. So I was in Newcastle just a few days before I went to Nepal. And this was, there's some slide things happening here, but this was about a commitment we'd made to donate £10,000 to local education in the UK. And we'd been working with the local member of parliament in Newcastle called Chi Onwurah. And she's, if we go back to the slide, she's the lady on the top left there, the only woman holding the check in that picture. And so she selected 4 local schools to share the money. And so I went up there to meet the schools, to give out the checks, to talk to them about what they were doing. And these are all primary schools, so they're sort of educating children from about 3 years old to about 6 or 7.
And the genesis of this, so we're really having some side problems here now. I don't know who's with this, probably mine. Jeff, sort this out. But the genesis of this was our Houses of Parliament event earlier this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this was Digital Currency Day, which is the event we organised in the House of Parliament, and lots of our members joined us for that as well, which was wonderful. And this was part of that.
We did something cheeky because we garnered the support of the members of Parliament and kind of blackmailed to take a bit of an overview and education about digital currency. And if they could prove that they'd done that, they went into a draw for a £1,000 prize.
That's exactly what we did, because you know what politicians are like. They never do anything without nobody does anything without an incentive. And this was the incentive we created. Members of Parliament.
So they educated themselves about digital currencies and about Leo Coin, and the Leo Coin Foundation then made a donation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so these are the recipients. So in these schools, total of about sort of 1,000 children aged from about 3 to 7. And it's amazing how far this money can go. It's amazing what they can do with it. There's outdoor education schemes, there's equipment, there's tablets, there's all sorts of things that these schools are spending their money on. And obviously, vastly different situation to the children in Nepal. But nonetheless, you can still change people's lives by improving their education, by giving them opportunities they've never had before, by expanding their horizons. And this is just a wonderful, wonderful couple of weeks in which we affected real change and changed people's lives undeniably for the better.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of nice, because one of the aspirations that I've always had is that we should be a grown-up country living in the real world, and we should kind of give something back. One of the things that I'm sort of seeing an awful lot of just recently is that greed never pays. I've looked at some people make some very, very foolish choices, and all they could have done would be sit on their hands, but instead they get tempted by things, and they kind of go for the plan, and they go for the clothes, and they try to pitch, and they try to steal, and they try to do this stuff, and it never pays. But if you're a socially responsible person or a socially responsible company, there's kind of a karma thing, and I know that many people on this call will agree with me on this. There's kind of a karma thing where things come back to you to the exact proportion with which you try to do good in the world. So very, very well me here, and Nepal and Newcastle almost the same week. What can I say? Living on the edge.
Yeah, it is. I've got to jump off this call, but yeah, thank you.
Very good. So I'll catch up with you later, mate. Thanks for doing that.
No worries.
So the other thing that we've got going on is the next thing. I'm going to flash through a lot of slides here, but we had a members training in Egypt where Waqas Sahel, our general manager from the Dubai region, went for a 2-day event, and he had hundreds. I mean, I think it was 250 people that were up for this 2-day event, and his training went down like an absolute storm. I know what the Egyptians are like. They are fantastic. They're full of energy. Not so organized. I'm sure there are a couple of Egyptians on this call. I think it's a miracle that you guys managed to build the pyramids back in the day. But you have the passion and you have the energy to really build a direct selling business. So thank you very much for making Waqas welcome and for being with us, because for what it's worth, we launched our company in 2012 in Egypt, in front of the pyramids. Which some people always thought was an odd choice, which I always thought was, well, if we're going to get criticized for being pyramid selling, let's just go there. So that's all fine. But then Andy Hansen, who I think is on the call, also has just come back from Finland. Andy, are you there?
I certainly am, Dan. How are you?
I'm very, very good. So you're also sporting a beard now, do I gather?
Well, it started as a moustache for charity for November, and it sort of, I got lazy, I guess, and it turned into a beard, but I think it's going to stay.
I think it suits you. I think we're starting a new trend here. So how was Finland then? Was it Helsinki, yes?
It was Helsinki, and it was absolutely amazing. It was a tremendous event. well over 200 members there. We have members from Finland, obviously, Denmark, Sweden, France, Estonia, and even, would you believe, the USA. So it was
Russia?
very multicultural. And a great day. We had a big VIP training, then we had the full live seminar for the day, and then the leaders did a Discover Leo in the evening, and then we had recognition, and then we finished with the VIP dinner. So real big enthusiasm and energy and excitement in the room, and just a great event, very well organized. And you know, the question of when are you coming back, you know, when can we have another one? And I really think that Finland has put a you know, stake in the map. It's grown tremendously in the last year. Over 500% it's grown. So it's now sitting
I was in Finland not that long ago, and I was struck by the energy of the people and their sense of humor. They really kind of get it, and they kind of get life. So they're just such a good bunch of folk, and I'm sure there are some people on this call that are from Finland. So thank you very much for your energy and enthusiasm. I do apologize because I intended to be there, but I couldn't make the internet work, so I apologize for that. But Andy, I've been told that you were, quote unquote, on fire. What are you on fire about?
Well, I think that, you know, as a speaker, you obviously pull a lot of energy from the audience. So that does help. And it was a very excited audience. But, you know, we're coming to the end of an amazing year for Leo. And as I have the honor of being flipped all over the planet, I see virtually all of the markets, see how everybody's getting on, seeing things like what's happening with the charity side of the business, seeing what's happening with the business operationally. It's a very exciting time to be in Leo. And I guess that's what came across, I'm guessing. And, you know, some of the members there said, oh, would you come and speak for my company? And I said, well, look, I'm exclusive to Leo, so no, I can't. But, you know, if you need speakers, I'm sure we can help you find some. I met a wonderful lady there who opened a orphanage in Tanzania, and we were talking about Nepal, and she was showing me what she'd been up to. So I passed those details to Miha and said, is there anything we could maybe help on the education side with that orphanage, because she's personally funded the orphanage herself. And it was just a great event. It was such fun. It's like, pinch myself, I get paid to do that, really, because I have so much fun and to be able to share so much with so many people.
Now you're making a big difference, and members are always telling me how wonderful you are and how much value you're adding. And you've come back from Guadeloupe, and now you're in Finland. You're not doing anything now before Christmas very much, right?
Oh, well, I am. I'm going to Dubai because I'm doing the live seminar with Wackus, and I've just decided today on the way home from Dubai, I'm going to go via Turkey to support a big team event that's happening there on the Sunday. So I'll be in Dubai with Wackus on Saturday, and then fly overnight, and on the Sunday I'll be in Turkey, Istanbul, for a 300-seat team event that's happening there with a new team we have.
Very cool. Thank you for that. Okay, so for the rest of the audience on this call, and again, I can't believe the numbers here. It's absolutely huge. I want you to look at the geographical spread of what we talked about so far. So we have sort of Nepal, we have Finland. Here we have Tim and team doing an event in Germany. I see Angel in the background there, fantastic. Thomas, of course, and the other Thomas, and Florian and Max and Benjamin. I'm reading it from the screen, to be fair. But congratulations to you, because there's always stuff going on in Germany, and they always believe in education, and it's just nice to sort of see that we have our members community also driving stuff. So thanks for sharing that, Nico. I really appreciate that. In addition to Germany, of course, we've also got many other markets. I hope you can still hear me. I just had a notification that my signal might be going. But one of the things, someone in the UK reached out to me and said, Dan, there's loads of stuff going on in Africa. And so Ash sent me these pictures. Thanks very much, Ash. And I think that this is to do with sort of stuff going on in Ash's business. And I think Amir Barlas is involved in a lot of some of this stuff, at least. And I think Ash himself is single-handedly trying to open up the African market together with our French and with our other members. But just great to see the spread here, because Sir Alex, with Amir Barlas as guest speaker, had 500 people at a Nigerian event. But then if we go forward here, congratulations to all of you is just amazing. But then we had events in South Africa organized by Nunanla, Mel, Maggie and Honey Lenda in Durban Beach and Johannesburg. So that's just huge to sort of see the Leo logo flying high there. Oh, there's Charlie Nash in a little picture as well. In South Africa, we had more pictures from the same events there. And again, the enthusiasm, the Leo branding and the logos and the signs and the energy and the passion is all typical of that. But then as it goes forward, we're also in Ghana, where David, Makola, Joseph, Samuel, Sam, and more organized kind of a launch event in Ghana, because I don't think we have much in Ghana from before. I think we had some forays into the market. But congratulations and well done to all of you, and we look forward to seeing what we can do together. And then Tanzania and Uganda with Henry, Uganda by Luago, and Emmanuel, Godfrey, and Danielle. Congratulations to all of you, and I'm sure that you're on this webinar now. So all I'd like to say is welcome to Leo. People who know me from the last sort of 5, 6, 7, 10 years, they all know that I'm always talking about the African potential. There's something about Africa that is this sleeping giant that has been kind of abused and taken advantage of by commercial interests. And I'd really like to get stuck into Africa and develop a whole generation of entrepreneurs, education, training. I have been to many countries in Africa and always inspired and moved by what I see there as the potential of the market and such good people looking for opportunities and prepared to work for it. So we are right behind you and very, very keen to develop our African business. If we can get this school project off the ground, I see that we have huge potential as well on your continent for us to do great work together. Now, like Andy alluded to, going forward, we're collecting the Dubai region together into a live seminar on the 8th of December with Andy and Wakas. I think we're having some VIPs from the government attending this as well, but I shall say less about that because I'm not sure if it's been confirmed or not. But we've got a whole new team emerging in the Middle East in several different countries, from Kuwait to Oman to I don't even know, Jordan I think is also part of it, and several other countries, but also UAE itself. And again, this is part of our multicultural philosophy. This is part of us building a business for the world where we can connect people from all over the world in one business. So just very, very cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing the media from that. Now, Andy, Brazil is obviously in full swing now, and we're sort of doing pre-site planning and administration and some visits coming up and what have you. So what's the story on visas and tickets?
Well, on visas, we have over 200 visas already uploaded, so that's very encouraging for this stage of the game. But obviously, there's a lot more that need to be uploaded. But at least the members are already applying and getting those visas done. And they need to make sure also with their tickets, if they're going to redeem the ticket or assign it to one of their guests, they need to do that by the 30th of November. So only a few days left to get that one done. And then finally...
Is there like a backlog on that, do you think?
A bit of a backlog. You know, everybody wants to leave it to the last minute. If they're redeeming their own ticket, it's easy. If they're redeeming and also assigning tickets, there's more to be done when they log in. So I encourage everybody to get that done like today. Don't leave it to the last day in case you have any hiccups. But everything else is in full swing, full planning, and it's going to be one amazing event.
Because, I mean, we will have to be quite strict on these deadlines, right?
Yeah, we've got to, because we have to supply the resort and also the local authorities with the list of our attendees. And we have a deadline for that ourselves of the 31st of December. So we need to make sure everybody has been done and is in there, and we've got all the details and visas correct so that we can supply that information.
Yeah. Because, I mean, this is the conundrum of being in a sales business, that salespeople always leave things to the last minute. I don't quite know I don't know why. Well, I don't know why that is, but it seems to be part of the course. Don't leave it to the last minute. Get on and sort yourselves out. If you've done the work to qualify for Brazil for a free trip to the other side of the world, to one of the most magical destinations that I can imagine for any of you, get the paperwork and administration done. Just like Andy says, drop everything, get it done today. Because there's only so much we can do to help you, and once we bust these deadlines, it's kind of game over. Don't let that happen to you. Now, the other thing that we're looking forward to now, we still got sort of a month and a half we've got a month and a bit left of 2018, but 2019 is when a lot of things are happening, including our Momentum tours. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of all of this, but we have kind of things planned for you, because there's a new Leo emerging, and there's kind of a re-engineering of the entire business. We will still be in crypto, and we will still be in education, we'll still be in entrepreneurship, we will still be global, we'll be multicultural, we'll do all of that stuff. But if you look at the geographical spread of what we had to talk about just this week, can you imagine how our global business is going to grow and grow and grow now? So you need to be focused on qualifying for the Momentum trip so that you can be there and hear the stuff as it's announced. Because I'm talking about something that will re-engineer. I'm talking about a project that's never been done before in direct selling in my 35 years experience of this industry. It's going to be something that is just so cool and easy to sell that it will just take our business to the next level. So Momentum is where it's happening. We're doing it in Europe, South Africa, and the rest of the world, that you can plug into either into the Dubai region event or into the Asia Pacific one. It's help someone go platinum, and you and they can go. And it's kind of as simple as that. Now, in the interest of time, the Leo Coin 3. Now, you have seen that the world of digital currencies in the last 7 days has been a very topsy-turvy place. Bitcoin has crashed in value by something like 30–40%, depending on when you draw the line in the sand. The rest of the altcoin market is following suit. I was reading some articles and speaking to some people today, and something like, they're estimating 600,000 Bitcoin mining machines have been turned off just in the last period of time, because the price of Bitcoin is no longer supporting the electricity for running a mining farm. Now, we're certainly finding in terms of our activities in this space that it's quite a tough market, and it is what it is. Sometimes when people sort of look at us and sort of, some of our members say, well, when is the price of Leo Coin going up? And when will you make me rich? And I kind of go back to the fundamentals. And Mihir and I were talking about this the other day, and it kind of came from him as well, is that this is what real looks like. You can't be building a train that just keeps going and going and going and going, and everyone becomes rich and everyone becomes rich, because those deals always crash in the fullness of time. There's massive Ponzi scams that are just collapsing now, and it's tragic because they've taken people for so much money, and they've really robbed lots of good folks out there, and it's always the ringleaders and that small group of pretty much wicked folk that put money in their own pocket. Now, if you look at what's happening with our project, we're on track, we're working forward with it. The end of January is when you will see it, and it's very, very cool. And we're dealing with the market vagaries. We're dealing with the market uncertainties of Bitcoin and altcoins and every other coin out there losing in value. So if you look at this chart here, for instance, here is kind of, I don't know, what, 12, 15 coins, and they've just lost tons and tons of value in this last week. Compared to the 40 top digital currencies in the world, Leo Coin is actually outperforming, for instance, Bitcoin. We are holding our value better, and I'm not saying that our coin is at the price point where we want it to be, but because of our community and because of our engagement with our community, we have a stability and we have a community that's engaged with us. So our price volatility is buffered out, and so despite the fact that Bitcoin can lose up to 40% of its value in a week, that's not happened for us. Over a period of a year, we've done nothing like most of the digital currency market. We're outperforming and having a very, very stable coin. And as we go forward, come 2019, we'll be in a very, very interesting position, because the sky is not falling on digital currencies. Don't buy into the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's being spread out there. I don't know. There's something about the market, as I analyze it, is that people are deliberately spreading FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. People are deliberately pushing to see if they can shake the tree. And I think that there's going to be a great surge forward again, which I'm looking forward to. But the mining industries are suffering, and certainly on our DMS product, I'm just managing your expectations now. I wouldn't be surprised if the number of reward will be less than it was last month. We're still sort of in the throes of analyzing all that out, but in a market volatility situation like that, it is what it is, and like I say, this is what real looks like. So it is what it is. We're going forward. The sky is not falling. We're very excited about our LeoCoin market service. That incentive there is ending soon. We're also looking at making some adjustments to how coins are awarded. So the rank incentive award is also going to see some tweaks coming very, very shortly, because we don't want to kind of over incentivize the future markets, if I put it that way. So the rank awards that you can get there, they will change very, very, very soon, and you'll kick yourself if you don't grab the opportunity now, if I put it that way. So we are very optimistic about the future. We're working incredibly hard on some incredibly cool things, and as always, the call to action is kind of best summarized by speak to more people. Get your focus on qualifying for your Regency Momentum incentive. Make sure that if you are qualified for Brazil, that you do the paperwork so you get that done by the end of November. Get your visa, sort it all out, join us in Dubai, invite your people, and the early bird catches the worm. You are blessed beyond belief, in my opinion, in my belief. I can't do anything, but you are blessed beyond belief to be in the business today in 2018, because in 2019 this thing is moving forward. I think that we will actually do very, very significant things on a world stage, really, because if we can do one school in Nepal, we can do 10. If we can do 10 schools in Nepal, we can do schools in 10 markets. We can do schools in Africa, we can do schools in Asia, we can do schools in China, we can do schools everywhere, and we can impact the generation of people. And I can give you something that you can sell without any guilt. I can give you something that you can be proud of. I can give you the opportunity to be part of something that could actually make a real dent. So I share those thoughts with you because someone said that we need to give vision to the people. There's plenty of vision. There's plenty of reasons to work. I thank you all for your commitment. For those of you who've been with us for 5 years, for 6 years, for 4 years, for 2 years, for 2 weeks, doesn't matter. We will do something together. So this is Dan Anderson saying thank you very, very much indeed, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week. And take care, people. God bless.